Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of foods you should buy fresh, but the 15 foods I'm about to show you are way better frozen. Let me explain it. Let's start with wild blueberries. And no, I'm not talking about the regular blueberries sitting in those plastic clamshells. Wild blueberries are smaller, uglier, honestly. But here's what most people don't realize. Those fresh blueberries in your grocery store? They could be 3 weeks old. 3 weeks. Meanwhile, wild blueberries get flash frozen within hours of being picked. All those antioxidants everyone's always talking about? Locked in tight? But it gets better. Because wild blueberries are smaller, they have more skin per berry. More skin means twice the antioxidants compared to their chubby cultivated cousins. You're literally getting double the health benefits. And the price? About half what you'd pay for fresh. Your wallet stays happy. The berries don't turn into fuzzy science experiments in your fridge after 4 days. Here's the weird part, though. Freezing actually makes them healthier. The ice crystals break down cell walls, releasing more anthocyanins for your body to absorb. But blueberries aren't the only thing your freezer does better than your fridge. Here's something that might ruin your day. That fresh shrimp at the seafood counter? It was frozen yesterday. About 90% of shrimp sold in America was frozen at some point. The guy behind the counter just thawed it and arranged it nicely on ice. You're paying premium prices for a defrosting service. Meanwhile, the shrimp in your freezer aisle? Flash frozen on the boat within hours of being caught. We're talking fresher than fresh. Fresh shrimp starts developing that ammonia smell within 48 hours. You know the smell. The one that makes you question your life choices at dinner time. Frozen shrimp? Stays perfect for 6 months. And here's what kills me. A pound of frozen shrimp costs about 30% less than the exact same shrimp sold thawed at the counter. Same shrimp, different price, different name. Plus, frozen shrimp defrosts in cold water in just 15 minutes. Fastest protein in your kitchen. But shrimp isn't the only thing hiding a frozen secret. Fresh spinach has a dirty little secret. Half its vitamins vanish within a week of being picked. That bag of baby spinach looking all healthy in your crisper? It's been slowly dying since it left the farm. Folate, vitamin C, gone. Just leaves pretending to be nutritious. Frozen spinach gets blanched and frozen within hours of harvest. And here's the kicker. That blanching process actually makes beta-carotene easier for your body to absorb. Fresh spinach can't do that. Now let's talk about value. You buy a pound of fresh spinach feeling good about yourself. Cook it up. What do you get? Barely a cup. It's like a magic trick nobody asked for. A 10-ounce box of frozen spinach costs around $2. That equals about 2 pounds of fresh. You're saving $6 and skipping that depressing moment when slimy leaves greet you from the fridge. Works perfectly in lasagna, soups, anything cooked. Speaking of things that spoil too fast, let's talk about ground turkey. Ground turkey has a shelf life problem, and it's worse than you think. That fresh package you bought? You've got maybe 2 days before bacteria starts throwing a party. The grinding process creates millions of tiny surfaces for germs to colonize. It's basically a microbe mansion. Frozen ground turkey stays perfectly safe for 4 months. No pressure, no panic cooking. Here's something most people don't realize. Fresh ground turkey at the store might already be on day 3 of its journey. You're inheriting someone else's timeline, but the real win is your wallet. Buy frozen in bulk when it goes on sale. We're talking nearly half the price compared to grabbing fresh every week. That adds up fast. And those frozen turkey patties? They're individually portioned. Cook one, leave 3 in the freezer. No guilt about wasting half a package because you only wanted a single burger. Thawed overnight in the fridge. Same texture as fresh, zero stress. I'll be honest, I thought these health rings were a scam. I bought one half expecting to send it back. But 3 months later, it hasn't left my finger. And it does way more than I expected. Sleep, activity, heart rate, recovery and stress, all from one little ring. The thing that helped me most? I realized my afternoon coffee was quietly wrecking my sleep. One small change, cutting it off after lunch, and within a week, I was sleeping like a rock. Now here's why I'm telling you this. Right now the ring's 63% off, just $60 if you grab it through the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee if it's not for you, but I'm keeping mine. Now, here's a vegetable that lies about its age. Sweet corn lies to you at the grocery store. That golden ear looks perfect. But here's the truth. Corn starts converting its sugars into starch the moment it's picked. Within 24 hours, half that sweetness is gone. Remember how corn tasted when you were a kid? That wasn't nostalgia playing tricks. That corn actually was sweeter because it came from a local farm, not a truck that's been rolling for 2 weeks. Frozen corn gets processed within hours of harvest. They capture that peak sweetness before it disappears. The fresh stuff in winter, shipped from Central America. By the time it reaches you, it's basically a starchy cylinder pretending to be a vegetable. And here's a neat trick. Toss frozen kernels into a hot skillet until they char a bit. Those caramelized edges taste like a summer barbecue, even when there's snow outside. $1 buys you 6 servings. 3 fresh ears cost 3 times that. Speaking of vegetables that travel ridiculously far, fish fillets might be the biggest scam in your grocery store. That fresh salmon behind the glass? It probably spent 2 weeks on ice getting to you, sometimes longer. By the time it reaches the counter, decomposition has already started. That fishy smell everyone associates with seafood? That's not how fish is supposed to smell. That's decay. Here's what happens at sea. Commercial boats flash freeze their catch at -40 degrees within hours. Not days. Hours. The fish basically goes into suspended animation. Now here's something that might surprise you. High-end sushi restaurants in Kansas City and Denver? They actually prefer frozen fish. Not because it's cheaper, because freezing kills parasites that fresh fish might carry. The fancy raw fish you're paying $40 for was almost certainly frozen first. Vacuum-sealed frozen fillets stay perfect for 6 months. Meanwhile, that fresh tilapia needs cooking tonight or it's garbage. Speaking of foods that lose their magic fast, fresh peas are basically sugar with a countdown timer. The moment they're picked, those little green gems start converting their sweetness into starch. Within 24 hours, half the sugar is gone. By the time fresh peas reach your grocery store, you're basically eating tiny green marbles. Frozen peas get processed within 2 to 3 hours of harvest, not days. Hours. That's why they taste sweeter than anything in the produce section. Here's a fun fact. The British are absolutely obsessed with frozen peas. They eat more per person than any other country. And these are people who take their food traditions seriously. Fresh peas also come with homework. You have to shell them. 1 pound of pods gives you maybe a cup of actual peas. That's a lot of work for not much payoff. My favorite trick? Throw frozen peas directly into pasta water during the last minute. Instant vegetable, 0 effort. But let's talk about a protein that causes serious fridge anxiety. Fresh chicken sits in your fridge judging you. You've got maybe 2 days before it goes from dinner to science experiment. That's not a window, that's a crack. Here's what the grocery store doesn't advertise. That fresh chicken, often pumped full of salt water to make it heavier, you're literally paying for water weight. Frozen chicken skips this trick most of the time. Buying frozen breasts in bulk saves you roughly 40%. That's real money over a year. But the best part is portion control. Individually, frozen breasts let you grab exactly what you need. No thawing a whole package and then scrambling to use 4 pieces before they turn questionable. And here's a kitchen hack that changed my life. Pounding chicken while it's still slightly frozen is way easier. The meat holds its shape instead of sliding around like a wet fish. The USDA says frozen chicken stays safe basically forever. Best taste within 9 months, though. Speaking of fruits that mock your timing skills, fresh cherries show up for about 8 weeks a year. Miss that window, and you're paying $8 a pound for sad imports from the other side of the planet. Frozen cherries? Available any Tuesday you want them. But here's what really sells me. They come already pitted. Anyone who's ever attacked fresh cherries with a paperclip or some weird gadget knows the struggle. Red juice everywhere. Stained fingers for days. Your kitchen looks like a crime scene. Frozen cherries skip all that nonsense. And get this. Tart cherries contain natural melatonin. Studies actually show they help people sleep better. My evening smoothie game changed completely when I learned that one. Fresh cherries bruise if you look at them wrong. They mold within a week, sometimes faster. You're basically racing against nature every time you buy them. For baking, frozen wins again. They release their juices more evenly, so your pie filling doesn't turn into cherry soup on one side. Now, about that vegetable nobody stores correctly. Broccoli might be the most misunderstood vegetable in the produce section. Here's the truth nobody tells you. That fresh broccoli sitting there looking all green and healthy, it's probably traveled over 1,500 miles to reach you. That journey takes almost 2 weeks. And during that time, it loses up to 50% of its vitamin C. Frozen broccoli gets flash frozen right after harvest. Those nutrients stay locked in. But here's what I really appreciate. Frozen florets come cut to uniform sizes. Everything cooks at the same rate. No more burnt little pieces while the big chunks stay raw in the middle. Fresh broccoli also comes with a dirty little secret. You're paying for stems. Big, thick stems that most people just throw away. Frozen bags? Pure florets. Zero waste. The steam and bag versions cook in 4 minutes flat. 4 minutes! My father used to boil fresh broccoli for 20 minutes until it turned gray. Nobody needs that. And speaking of breakfast favorites that belong in your freezer, fresh breakfast sausage has a dirty little secret. It starts going bad the moment it hits that refrigerator case. 2 days. That's all you get before those links start developing funky flavors. The high-fat content oxidizes faster than you'd think, and suddenly your Sunday breakfast tastes like disappointment. Frozen sausage? Stays perfect for months. But here's what really sold me. Those frozen patties and links come individually separated. Pull out exactly what you need. 2 links for yourself, 4 if the grandkids are visiting. The rest stays sealed and safe. My neighbor kept buying those fresh tubes from the meat section. Every single week, half the tube would go bad before she used it. That's money straight into the garbage. And get this, cooking frozen sausage links in a covered pan with a splash of water actually makes them juicier than fresh. The steam keeps everything moist while the insides cook through perfectly. Now, speaking of convenience foods that belong in your freezer, fresh mangoes are basically a ripeness lottery, and you almost always lose. They ship those things rock hard from halfway across the world. Then you wait and wait. One day it's a brick, the next day it's brown mush. That perfect 2-day window? You'll probably be at work when it happens. Here's what the frozen food aisle figured out. They harvest mangoes at peak ripeness in places like Mexico and Thailand, then flash freeze them within hours. That flavor you're chasing? It's already locked inside those chunks. And let's talk about the mess. Cutting a fresh mango means wrestling with that giant slippery pit. Juice everywhere, sticky hands, questionable knife skills that make your spouse nervous. Frozen mango chunks? Already done. Just pour. My smoothies improved overnight when I made the switch. Frozen mango creates this thick, almost ice cream texture without watering things down with regular ice. But here's an ingredient most people completely overlook in the freezer section. Pearl onions. Cute little things. Absolutely miserable to prep. Ever tried peeling fresh pearl onions? It's like being punished for wanting a nice beef stew. Each tiny onion requires individual attention. Your eyes water. Your fingers cramp. 30 minutes later, you've got maybe a cup of peeled onions and a serious grudge. The frozen aisle solved this problem decades ago. Frozen pearl onions come already peeled and blanched. Just rip open the bag and dump them straight into your pot. That blanching process actually does something interesting too. It mellows out that sharp raw bite, making them sweeter and more tender than fresh ones you'd peel yourself. And good luck finding fresh pearl onions in July. They're seasonal. Frozen? Always there, waiting patiently. Here's what French home cooks won't admit publicly. They use frozen pearl onions in their coq au vin, their beef bourguignon, classic dishes that taste completely authentic. Speaking of convenience, there's another freezer item that makes fruit lovers very happy. Frozen mixed berries solved a problem I didn't even know I had. Buy fresh strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries together? The raspberries will mold in 3 days. Strawberries go soft by day 5. Blackberries? They're basically furry by the weekend. You're racing against 3 different expiration dates. Frozen mixed berries don't play that game. They all last the same amount of time, months. Here's something interesting about winter berries. Those fresh ones at the store, grown in greenhouses or flown in from South America, picked before they were ripe so they'd survive the trip. They look pretty, taste like disappointment. Frozen berries were picked at peak ripeness during actual summer. Then flash frozen. That's why they taste more like real berries than the fresh imports do. And the price difference is almost embarrassing. 3 separate containers of fresh berries runs you about $15. A frozen mixed bag? Around $4. Now, there's one more freezer item that might surprise you. Pierogies might be the most honest frozen food in the entire freezer section. Here's what I mean. Most frozen foods are trying to imitate fresh. Pierogies? They were basically invented to be frozen. Polish grandmothers have been freezing these things for generations. It's not a compromise, it's the tradition. Fresh pierogies from the refrigerated section last maybe a week. Cost nearly double. And honestly, they don't taste any better. But here's where it gets interesting. Frozen pierogies actually get crispier when you pan-fry them. The frozen dough hits that hot butter and creates this golden crust that fresh ones just can't match. Science working in your favor for once. 8 minutes from freezer to plate. A whole box feeds 4 people for under $5. So there you have it. 15 foods that are actually better frozen. Your freezer isn't where food goes to die. It's where smart shopping lives.